All right.
Welcome, Kayhan, to the Argetic website pages. It's a great pleasure to talk with you about Yautja and this new monster, the Large. After 7 years of silence in Fublens, tell me, what were the reasons for this delay, and why does Yautja's music always have the feeling of annoying, renegade, and frenzy?
Well, we were pretty busy touring. We put out some smaller releases, just no full lengths over the past 7 years or so. And then there was other things with work and family and stuff that got in the way. We also, as a band, we take a little while to write songs, so we like to take our time with writing material. As far as the style of the music, I think that's just how it comes out, you know. It's a pretty chaotic, annoying world we live in, so I think that just translates into the music we write.
Hmm. Okay, Yautja's sounds feature many different styles. Was that intentional, or was it what came naturally when you start jamming together? Because it's difficult to label Yautja. How do you
Yeah,
describe the sound?
yeah. I don't think it was intentional. It just kind of came naturally. Yeah. We listen to all different kinds of music, um, and yeah, it is hard to label it. It's hard to describe, and that can sometimes not help out, you know, with touring and stuff like that, because people aren't sure what to think about us. You know, if we play a death metal show, we might confuse the hardcore death metal fans. If we play a punk show, we might confuse the punk kids. If we play like a noise rock show, they might think we're too metal for that. But we like the style, and it's a pretty natural blend of everything that we listen to and that we grew up listening to. Yeah.
Hmm. Great. So a band like Yautja, having, as you said, many styles into your music, they have doors open for different types of public in concerts because it's so people. Therefore, what are the opinions of the fans of the styles away from the metal? And they are agree with that mix that all these styles in a band like Yautja, because the fans are very close sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, I think that we have a pretty tight knit and unique fan base. I think that we appeal to fans of all types of music. And I kind of like that, you know. I don't like being just like a strict death metal band or a strict grind band, uh, you know, mathcore or something like that. So yeah, it does turn some people off, but I like that the people who get it, and they like the band. So
Hmm. Hmm. So Yautja belongs, for me, Yautja belongs to the great to the great new wave of American extreme music because it's difficult because it's difficult for the fans, for the reviewers said what the hell is this. So what the hell is this, because since bands like you, like Seputus, Piron, Imperial Typhon, Fall Limbs, and many more, they has this difficult to say this is the only thing that we can say is this is extreme music. That's not, because have jazz, blues, metal, punk,
sure.
hardcore, avant-garde, a lot of things into the, especially a lot of bands. This is the new wave. So what is that feel like to be opening new doors into the extreme music worldwide, and why is there the need to go one step further in each band in the US in the current style mix?
Yeah, I think it's cool to, you know, to open doors and to introduce new styles of music to people that might only listen to a very specific thing. I think it's a generation of people who grew up listening to all kinds of music and didn't want to be put into a strict category. Because yeah, we, you know, it's easier to explain what a band sounds like if you use labels like death metal or hardcore. Um, but it's really more fun to just write stuff that comes naturally, and a combination of your influences and just kind of what you're hearing in your head, and not worrying about, oh well, maybe people who like metal won't like this because we have this part, or maybe people who like avant-garde music will think this part's too metal. I think that the new a group of bands that is, like you said, kind of pushing a new sound. It's kind of not worrying about where you get put in the world of music, and not worrying about what people are going to think about it, not worrying about if something's going to be commercially successful. Like, it's really easy to write, follow the rule book of death metal or follow the rule book of hardcore and release something that people will like. But I think it's more interesting to try to create something new, and try to blend styles together to create something that's going to be new to people, or help people explore new types of music.
Great. So into this matter, as you see, well, as you said, sorry, as you said, the extreme music is not that one style continues to grow with more and more expressions that not having to do with the music, with extreme music from the 80s and 90s. As you can, as I mentioned it, in Piron, Imperial Triumph, Fall Limbs, Cattle Decapitation, Yautja music. There is very, very different from the music from the 80s and 90s, because when I remember that, when I remember Morbid Angel or Napalm Death, when I remember Discharge, Extreme Noise Terror, this kind of bands, it's very, well, it's common things it's very, they were very different in the 80s and 90s, no? But now it's a common things, because there are a lot of bands with this kind of style. But this man, that bands that I mentioned in the previous question, this question is very different. I don't. So, why the extreme music keeps continue grow up with more creativity than all the styles?
Yeah, I just think it's really cool when a new band comes along, and they without ripping off Morbid Angel or Napalm Death, they're just kind of like copying what those bands do. And I love all those bands you mentioned. I love Discharge, I love Morbid Angel, Napalm Death, but it just kind of gets boring. Like, there are new bands who kind of pay tribute to those bands, and they do it very well, and they make great music. But I think if there weren't bands who were trying to push the envelope and maybe combine styles and combine those influences, like, I'd rather listen to a band that sounds like a mixture of Morbid Angel and Discharge instead of just a copy of those bands.
Yeah, yeah. And
I think
what?
it's important to keep it interesting, and for music to evolve. Like, we're not going to incorporate any like electronics or anything into our music anytime soon, but we definitely keep in mind that we want to create original and unique music.
Mm. And what is your opinion about the old styles? Because as you said, you have a big influence into the heavy metal. What is your opinion about the thrash metal, heavy metal, and this new revival? Because these two styles revival with a lot new bands.
Yeah, I mean, I love it all, man. Like, I think there's a lot of great music coming out these days. There's a lot of American bands right now doing like super old school death metal
Yeah.
style. Like, uh, I love that stuff, and those bands are amazing, and people love them, and they're great live too. Um, but I think there still needs to be bands that are creating more original music, like, and that's really hard to do. Like, everything's been done these days, like, it's really hard to create something that is super original and doesn't sound like something else that's already been put out 20 or 30 years ago. So yeah, I still enjoy bands that are pretty much like a copy of a crossover band from like the early 90s or late 80s. but we also, we want to associate ourselves with bands that are trying to break new ground and do new stuff.
Mm. So now return to this to the Yautja's music. We focus on the cover arts of Son of the Sun and this The Lurch. I see that a lot of abstract things from both artists. Do you let the artist create the cover according to the appreciation of Yautja's music, or do you guide the artist to look sick and psychedelic?
Well, yeah. So basically, we we have a lot of friends that are visual artists and painters and do crazy artwork, and we like to collaborate with them on every release we do. So we basically just give them the music and give them the lyrics, and then we just tell them to do their thing. We definitely make it a point to have, artwork that does look crazy, but also
Yeah,
reflects the music and the
yeah.
lyrics. Um, so we give maybe a little bit of direction, but mostly we pick an artist that we trust and we just let them do their thing.
Mm. Great. So, Son of the Sun was released by Forcefield Records, and now this the large is released by Relapse Records. So, tell me, how was work? How was the work with Forcefield Records, and what does it feel like to be with one of the strongest label in the world, like is Relapse Records? How did you get to sign with them?
Well, working with Forcefield was great. Our friend Tim Harwich runs that label, and he really believed in our band early on, and he put the time and money and effort into putting out a couple of releases for us, and we're super thankful for that. He took really good care of us, and Forcefield even had a couple of bands that went on to be on Relapse too, like Windhand and Inter Arma and Cough were all on Forcefield, and then went on to be on Relapse. Um, and yeah, we had been talking with people from Relapse for several years, just seeing them at shows and on tour and stuff. And we finally just told them we had a new record that we recorded and did some emailing, and luckily it all worked out. We're super excited to be with Relapse now. I mean, it's a big step up from anything we've done in the past, and like obviously they have a good global distribution, and that's important to us too. We've only been to Europe twice now, but we'd love to go to Europe again. We'd love to come to South America, Southeast Asia, Australia. I think Relapse helps get your music out to the whole world, basically.
Hmm.
So we're super excited about that. Yeah.
Very nice. So now we will return into this new album. When I completely listen this, The Lurch, I feel the need to be inside of one of your concerts and throw punches every moment into the mosh pit because I feel this. So now that the live concerts are canceled or rescheduled for this pandemic, how do you feel that you can play alive and postpone tours for a year? Even this is the logic way to do this. So because the restriction of the countries inside of the US too, how are you faced up with the uncertainty that this might not happen again in the future?
Yeah, it's been really frustrating, man. We we recorded like a live studio thing that's going to come out soon,
Great.
but we really miss touring. Like touring is really important to us. We did it a lot, like when there's not a pandemic happening, we spend a lot of time on the road, and we miss playing live. We miss seeing our friends and other bands from all over the country. Um, and it's really hard to put out new music and not be able to go on tour and share it with people. Um, bands that are our size, uh, that's how we, keep going, is by playing shows and going on the road. Um, so yeah, it's been frustrating. I think we're starting to plan some stuff for like October, November this year. I hope it works out. You never know what's going to happen with coronavirus stuff, but I'm hoping by this fall that we'll be able to play live shows again.
Okay, okay. You said a few moments that you record live stream. So how when this will release it, and it will be for paid or it will be free?
I think it might be free. I think you might be able to buy it like later on like a DVD or something, or like a stream. But in the next couple of months, it's going to come out. I think we did 3 songs, but it's a bunch of bands from like Tennessee and the
Okay.
Southeast United States. But
Mm.
hopefully in the next month or so, we'll post about it.
No, okay, okay, okay. Bueno, especially for me, the music from Yautja, if I try to see in a streaming concert, is trapped in a cage. I really I don't
Yeah,
I don't understand
it's
why.
different.
It's very because your music is not for just not for see or listen. It's just to go inside and mosh into the mosh pit and do a lot.
Exactly.
Yes, yes. Well, that's
Yeah, it's
that.
definitely it's not the same on a screen, man. Yeah, you're right. It's definitely better live and face to face. We miss that for sure.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Into this subject of concerts, I see that many bands and festivals will reactivate in the US by the end of the year. I don't especially Megadeth, Lamb of God, Cataclysm, DSI, a lot of tours, a lot of gears. How is the situation inside in the US with this pandemic? Because according to the news, US in the top, US in the top with the contamination, with a lot of people still growing. So I don't know why this is concert or tours still scheduled to the end of the year. So
Yeah, it's complicated, man. I think people, unfortunately, people are just going to do what they want, no matter if things are getting worse or not. That's kind of like the downside of the American ideal of freedom in America.
yeah.
Like, even if people are still getting sick and dying, people are going to continue to do what they want, unfortunately. Everyone in our band has been vaccinated now, and more people are getting the vaccine here. So I think people are hoping that by the fall it will be safe. We're definitely planning things, but when it gets closer to that time, we will have to reevaluate and see if it actually is safe and makes sense to do. I think the bigger bands, like you mentioned, like Megadeth and the Lamb of God and Deicide, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's really up to them, and if people want to go see them, they're gonna go see them. I'm not sure if it's the best idea or the safest thing to do, but that's just kind of what's happening in this country right now. We had there's a lot of misinformation and disinformation going around, so it's a weird time here right now with the pandemic for sure. We're just kind of playing it by ear.
Yeah, because I see into the Facebook news or in Google News that will be a festival or 4 days with bands from Europe and with bands from US and with bands from South America. Wow, that's amazing. But and I think it will be in October or November. 4 days with Gojira, Judas Priest, and Sepultura. So that's amazing. I don't know because in Europe, the thing is very different. The only country that is still that has people vaccinated is UK. UK was 95% vaccinated, but
Yeah.
the other countries still not. So well, that's as you said, Mas, a misinformation, misunderstand news. So really, I don't
Yeah.
understand. So
Yeah, it's complicated. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, we just want to we're going to plan stuff, but we might have to cancel it. We're just going to do it, and if it's safe and makes sense, then we'll do it, and if not, we'll just have to push it back to next year.
Great. So until here, we will speak about the sound of the band, the cover art of this band, the crazy music that that you played in both albums. So now we will focus another kind of things into the extreme music, the the underground bands, the mainstream bands, so the new forms of hearing music, this kind of stuff. So um, many people, what do you think about the revival of the vinyl and tape?
I think it's great, man. Like the easiest way to listen to music now is digital.
Yeah.
Everyone uses Spotify and Apple Music and all that shit, which is totally fine. I understand that that's just how it is. But I really do like that vinyl has come back in the past 10 or 15 years, and tapes too. um, it just gives you it gives you a physical thing to hold and look at, and it showcases the artwork better. You've got the lyrics. It definitely helps bands on tour too, like underground and smaller bands when they go on tour. It helps to have tapes and records to sell to help get gas money and stuff like that. So yeah, we totally back vinyl. We've put out a tape version of everything that we've put out, and vinyl too. But yeah, I like it. I think it's great.
Hmm. And you said one thing about the digital platforms, because the digital platforms is the new wave to hear music for people from 25, 20, 15
Yeah,
years old. And these kind of people love to do the playlist. So select the best songs for them, just with one, two, three, at maximum four songs into the digital platform. So what do you think about the albums doesn't have the same impact compared to the 80s and 90s? And what does band needs to do to improve the listen of all songs in an album?
sure. Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, young people, they're gonna turn to Spotify and
Yeah.
Bandcamp and all that, SoundCloud, whatever. Um, and that's fine. Like, I wish it wasn't so based around like one or two songs. But I think you just have to accept it and adapt. Um, there are a lot of issues with like Spotify, for example, and how artists get paid. Um, you might get a couple of pennies every time someone listens to your song, or less than that. Um, but as far as listening to a whole album versus one or two songs, um, I don't know, man. I don't know how to get around that. I guess you just got to make sure that your album, every song is special, and you spend time on it just to make sure that someone's going to want to listen to the whole thing. Like my favorite albums are albums where I never skip a song. So
Yeah.
the idea is to create an album full of great songs and not have any filler. And I think the diehard music fans will always listen to the whole record at least once, and if they like it, then hopefully they'll keep listening to it. But if a 15-year-old only wants to put a couple of songs on a playlist, that's fine with me too.
Hmm. Now we will speak about in a probably in a gig here on a tour here in Latin America. If you embark in a new tour here in Latin America, what are your requirements to play it, and how many people travel with you with the band?
I mean, if we did a South American tour, it would probably just be us three and maybe one person to help do merch and stuff. Uh, we're pretty like not complicated on the road. We
Yeah.
usually don't bring a sound person. We usually don't bring a merch person. I would love to come tour South America. I did once in 2009. I played like Chile and played Lima and Trujillo. Played in Panama, but yeah, I would love for Yautja to come play and do South America someday. It'd be great.
Okay, so you played here in Trujillo, Peru.
Yeah. This was
Oh,
not with Yautja though. This was with the old hardcore band I used to be in. It was called Die Young.
oh, Dayon.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
okay. So how
It's
was
like
the
a
experience? So how was the experience to play here in Trujillo, Peru?
it was great, man. I don't remember where we played in Trujillo. I remember in Lima we played at a place called Nuclear Bar, I think is what it
Okay,
was
yeah,
called.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I know, I know.
Yeah, it was cool, man. I had a great time. Like that's something I love about playing in music and touring is you get to travel and see places that you might not ever get to go see. And even if you do, get to go on vacation to Peru, you're getting like the tourist, like American version of the city or the country. But if you go play music and you meet, local promoters and fans, then you get a different experience than if you just went on vacation and went to like the tourist spots and stuff.
Okay, okay. So into this matter to play live here in South America or Latin America, in which ones do you want to share on the stage? Or do you prefer to share in the stage, perhaps a special one?
I don't know, man. I wish I knew more South American metal bands, like as far as like more underground and newer bands. Like, obviously everyone knows like the bigger bands. But I would love to share the stage with anybody who wants to play with us, honestly. Yeah. I would love to play with bands I've never heard of. That's a great way to discover new music, is to go on tour and play with like local bands or smaller bands. So yeah.
Okay, we are very close to end this interview, and one things that I love from Yautja's music is first the inclination for the grindcore style. You have a lot of influence from the grindcore scene, and the other things about the name. What are you select these Yautjas from the Predator? So
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a grind influence, especially on the earlier stuff. But I mean, like we love that type of music. We love like Nasm and Rotten Sound and bands like that. Um, but as far as the name Yautja, we didn't really spend a lot of time thinking about it. We just thought it was a cool name, and we're all pretty nerdy. We all like sci-fi movies and shit like that. So yeah, we just decided to pick it. I don't think it's too important to have a super spend a lot of time thinking about the name of a band. Like there's so many bands that you know the name does not define their sound. It's just a name. Like if you see the name written down on a piece of paper, you might think one thing, but then once you actually listen to the band, then you think something else. We just thought it was cool, and we named the band a little over 10 years ago. So we were all younger then, and we just thought it was cool.
Great, but for me, when I discovered Yautja, I'm really attracted I'm really attracted when I see Yautja. What the hell means Yautja? What the hell means Yautja? And sounds crazy. Well, but I didn't know about the another Predator movie. So no, I just read Yautja. Wow, that's amazing name because it's very strange name.
Oh yeah,
But
it's a weird name. I think
it's a
it
weird name.
definitely it sticks out, and it gets people's attention, and even if it is just confusing to people, that I guess
Yeah.
that's a good thing. We could have had uh, a very typical metal band name, but I just think that would have been boring. We could have called ourselves like, cryptic genocide or like,
Yeah.
like morbid creature or whatever. But like, I think we just wanted to pick something unique, and I think the music kind of reflects that too.
Great, great, great. Well, Kayhan, no? That's right. Kayhan.
Kayhan, yeah, that's right.
Kayhan.
Yeah,
So,
Kayhan,
well,
that's it.
Kayhan. So, the sad time is right with this interview. I hope you enjoyed this one as I did. And thank you very
I
much
did, man.
thank you very much for your time. It was a really nice talk with you. And the last album was it's an amazing one. I bought my pre-order from last record, and I bought the first one too because I'm really attracted with the name, with the music, with the sound. I love this kind of stuff, like bands like Yautja, Pirron, Seputus, and more bands. I love this kind of new wave of extreme music. So take care and better wishes from this part of the world. Any last word from your fans, in your new fans in Latin America and Argetic readers? We are from Peru too.
Yeah. Thank you very much for having me, man. I really appreciate it. We can't wait to share the new record with everybody, in South America and all over the world. Hopefully in the next couple of years, we can make it down to Peru and play for you. I appreciate you giving me and the band some time, and it was a great interview, man. Thank you.